It's one of the most bewildering anthropological mysteries of all time. The human and dog symbiosis. How did it begin? When, where, and how did humans domesticate the world's first and most ubiquitous domesticated species? There are countless theories, but one of the most persisting narratives is that of a brave group of wolves who changed their way of life, and those of their descendants forever. One day, the animals, once dangerous, hostile, and carnivorous, sensed an opportunity and made a daring approach into the human world while these early people were cooking their food by a roaring fire. The humans, tossing less desirable scraps to these bold creatures, benefited from their presence, as they would clean up the discarded offal, as well as bread and other food items out of refuse piles. These events led to a dramatic shift in the animal-human relationship. Humans would eventually accept these tame wolves into their homes, breed them, and over time, the wolf would undergo such extensive changes that it became its own species, Canis familiaris, otherwise known as the domesticated dog. The dog would be uniquely suited for living with humans over wild animals, looking to their human master for guidance, instead of living in packs with their own kind. They would eventually be strictly selectively bred into several different types, or breeds, as well, to serve mankind. And that's the story of the dog. Of course, it isn't really factual. Dogs are not direct descendants of the larger modern wolf species we are familiar with. In fact, dogs, which are still a species of wolf, evolved from a smaller wolf subspecies that was probably a lot calmer and more comfortable with humans from the get-go. Yes, they likely scavenged around human settlements, as this relationship still occurs today in many countries. And humans did find them to be a useful means of trash disposal, and in some cases, they could even assist humans in hunting other animals. Yet dogs were, and continue to be, synanthropic with humans. This means they live close to and benefit from living amongst people, similar to raccoons, pigeons, and rats. Most of the world's dogs have never been selectively bred by humans. They've evolved this way. Despite this, we consider these dogs to be domesticated. No one considers these free-living dogs to be wild animals. Therefore, what if I told you that in one region of Ethiopia, one of the largest, most feared predators in Africa is undergoing the same exact process? The spotted hyena is a pack-living carnivore and the biggest, most formidable hyenid species. While they are feliforms, being genetically more related to cats, they are very dog-like in their appearance and behavior. These unusual animals are known for their ruthless hunting style, often taking down prey and ripping through them before they pass away with their intense bite strength. These formidable predators are also famous for their rivalry with lions, using their quick wits and cunning to steal prey from Africa's largest big cat. They've garnered a somewhat negative reputation in many cultures as greedy, ugly, cowardly, and even foolish. However, they are unmistakably powerful and capable of easily killing a human. Naturally, one would think hyenas would be, unlike dogs, unable to be domesticated and dangerous to interact with. Dangerous? Yes. Hyenas are large animals, and literally any larger animal can kill a person, even herbivores. Driving is also dangerous. That undoubtedly has led to countless fatalities. Factor in that hyenas are meat eaters, and the answer is clear: they are dangerous. Does this mean they can't be domesticated, however? Let me ask you this. How do hyenas differ from free-roaming dogs? Because believe it or not, some hyenas roam freely around humans, specifically the hyenas of Harar, Ethiopia. In this walled-off city in the African nation, spotted hyenas are not only permitted to roam the streets close to people, but there are individuals known as hyena men who feed them meat scraps, sometimes even using their mouths, to the fascination of unprotected tourists who gawk close by. How can this be? Centuries ago, during a famine, the hyenas preyed on the sickly. Due to this, a pact was made. The townspeople would feed the animals porridge in exchange for them to cease the attacks on people. At least that's how the legend goes. The residents still prepare porridge for the hyenas on shrines today, during the Islamic celebration of Ashura. Since then, the city has lived harmoniously with spotted hyena visitors for hundreds of years. The sound of garbage trucks and the calls of hyena men beckon the animals to arrive, just like owners summoning outdoor cats back home to feed. The scavengers clean up discarded meat scraps, keeping the streets tidy. Residents believe that in addition to this service, they chase away bad spirits. There are even special doors that have been built into the city's walls specifically for them to roam the streets. Sometimes the human-confident hyenas end up in buildings, and some hyena men are able to visit their dens with cubs inside. The relationship bears a striking resemblance to the hypothesized pathway of which dogs grew to become innately connected to human life. It is also similar to the urbanized red foxes that have become so accustomed to human environments that they differ physically and behaviorally from red foxes found in rural parts of the country. As these hyenas have been associated with the city for generations, there is undoubtedly some genetic selection for human tolerance going on with these hyenas. How do we define domestication? There is absolutely no agreed upon way to do so. However, most would agree that a domesticated animal is different from its ancestor behaviorally, and the Harar hyenas appear to be. However, do they differ physically from other spotted hyenas? I'm not aware of any study that has looked into this. But considering the research that proves the distinct morphology of urban-dwelling foxes and even some captive big cats, I'd be surprised if they weren't. Regardless, appearance shouldn't be meaningful when analyzing a domesticated animal. It's not like a dog's level of aggression correlates with how far it deviates from the appearance of its supposed ancestor. The Harar hyenas clearly live differently from typical members of their species. The latter are known for their attacks on humans. Let's be clear about one thing, however. This type of behavior can be accomplished across the animal spectrum. From lions to killer whales, most mammals can achieve some level of tameness through hand-raising and socialization, but due to their large size, the danger remains. Feeding animals in general can sometimes cause them to become more relaxed around humans. In fact, sometimes, paradoxically, feeding animals can increase their danger. For instance, wild bears and alligators that are regularly fed by people may be more likely to attack humans. I'm not aware of any attacks from the Harar hyenas, however. They are said to be fed in order to decrease attacks against people and livestock, and it seems to be working. The hyenas seem to have no issue adopting a predominant scavenger lifestyle, similar to dogs. They present a level balance of docility yet respect for the humans they depend on. Regardless, sporadic aggressive incidents and attacks are not indicative of an animal that is more or less domesticated. Obviously, not even dogs and cats are excluded from occasional attacks against humans. If a Harar hyena eventually attacks someone, it changes nothing. If that did happen, there will be those who might say, "What did you expect? It's a wild animal," ignoring their previous track record. As though there is any species devoid of instincts and bad behavior. This calls into question the mentality that aggression, which is inherent to animals, is indicative of a so-called wild animal, or one that isn't domesticated. It's clear that the truth is far more complex than most people care to realize. Domesticated or not, the Harar hyenas show us that even large predators are capable of forming comfortable relationships with humans, and the so-called distinction between them and the traditional domesticates we're familiar with is a mere figment